Hey everybody, welcome back to the garage. We're back in the shop after our PRI adventures. That was a ton of fun, saw a lot of great people, great contacts, and it's just an all-around, it feels good to be back going to PRI again after everything that's happened in the world. So very fun time there. If you didn't get to see those, go back, check out the last 3 videos we had posted, and one before that where we assembled the short block. And then we posted videos every day of PRI. So go ahead and take a look at those. Pretty fun time. Now, we are back at it, I said. We've got the short block assembled. Today we need to get the heads on, and we're going to degree the cam and a few other things. I want to walk you guys through a little bit of the cam degreeing and what we're checking for, and the quicker ways that we degree a cam. And then also I'm going to take you over, and we already assembled the heads for this, but I want to show you guys exactly a little bit of what we did on those as well. And then we'll get the heads on here and start getting this ready to put in the car. We do have a goal of having this up and running in the car by January 1st, or on January 1st. I'd be all right with that as well. But basically, New Year's, I want to have this running. So as I said, we've already assembled our Billet Hemi heads with the springs and valves, everything in these, ready to go onto the short block. We had to replace valves that you guys had seen in an earlier episode. We actually reordered Victory 1 titanium valves for both the exhaust and the intake. We replaced the ones that needed to be replaced. What we did is we replaced all 8 of the exhaust, and then we replaced 4 of the intakes. The reason that we did that is we were able to keep some of those ones that were not bent. We set those aside, and we keep a few spares, so if we're at the track or something and we burn up a valve, we have a valve that we know is good and can go right back in this. So some of the things that you have to do when you're setting up heads, you have to measure your spring install height. So when you put everything in here and you compress it, you've seen us tear these heads apart where we had to compress it to take the keepers off. Well, you have to compress the spring to put the keepers on as well. When you compress it and put the spring in and release everything where it's held right here, there's a height from here to here that we're trying to hit on here. On all of these springs is 2" 100, and all of them are within about 10 thousandths of each other. So we're very happy with that. And this is going to be the gauge you use. This set you put in here, and you can screw it up and down, and you will be able to, it has graduated marks to tell you exactly where you're at. Then you will use your different shims thicknesses to put underneath there to make sure everything is good. And then last thing I do is I also verify the retainer to the guide to make sure that we're not going to have any issues with that too. So we've got these already assembled. Let's go take a look at everything for degreeing the cam and what we need to accomplish before we can actually even start reading numbers. So the first thing we need to do is verify where our top dead center is. I am using a dial indicator, and we're going to turn it over. You'll see everything kind of moving on here, and we'll find a spot where it's its highest and stop. We'll kind of go back and forth until we find the piston dwell area. That's the time where it's at top dead center. Okay, we're going to call that top dead. Now from there, we're going to kind of go here, and we're going to put our own pointer here and go to our 0 on. So we're going to put a bolt in here with our own kind of temporary pointer for this degree wheel, because our 0 is right here. Otherwise we would loosen this up and get our 0 as close as possible. So it'll come over here, and it's going to point right at the 0. I like to use just a coat hanger. Cut it up and make what you need. Just make sure that you approve it with your wife beforehand, otherwise you could get into your own trouble there. So as you can see, we have our pointer right down here. It is exactly on 0. I like to leave it with a little bit of tension pushing against this, so that way it doesn't have as much spring coming back and forth. Now let's go take a look at the camshaft, and I'll explain a few things on that before we start turning everything over and start dialing everything in on this. All right, so here's the specs for our car. This was a cam that was spec'd specifically for our setup with this turbo. Our duration at 50 thousandths lift. Now that's going to be 50 thousandths lift on the camshaft, not the valve. We're running 274, 277 cam in here. And you can see our lobe lift is 4800 and a 513. All right. Now, the thing that we're going to be checking on here, we want to see our center line here on the intake here. So our intake center line should be around that 113 area. Okay, we're going to check that. And then we can also check, since we will know the valve timing at 50 thousandths lift here, the valves should be opening 24 degrees on the crankshaft rotation. In a basic sense, we're going to turn the camshaft over until it's at 50 thousandths lift, and we're going to set the engine at about 24 degrees here. And then we're going to sink all the gears in, and then we're going to check our center line to be 113 degrees. So as we said, remember right here, the intake valve is opening at 24 degrees. So we can go ahead and turn our engine to 24 degrees right there. Now we will go up and we'll set up the camshaft to measure the lift. And we'll get that so the intake is on at 50 thousandths lift by turning the camshaft by itself here, and then we can mesh the gears together, and that should be dialed in. Then we will go back right here and check the intake lobe center line. All right, so we had to change the camera angles a little bit, but got everything figured out and ready for you. So take a look at this. We're gonna go ahead and turn it over here. We're gonna watch our lift right here coming up. All right, we're lifting up, and roughly 50 thousandths of an inch, 24 degrees before top dead center. Now, let's go ahead, and this is gonna get us fairly close. We're gonna go full lift. See it climbing. And we have a little bit of dwell up there. And then it's gonna come back down. So we were right at that 113. Let's come past it again. Let's watch. Slow it down here. 110, 11, 12, 13, and we're right in that dwell. And then we come here and you see it's starting to come right down. So we know now that everything is in time. We are lifting at 50 thousandths of an inch at 24, and our intake center line is at 113. All right, so we got everything dialed in for that. We've got all of our bolts tightened. I use just regular fasteners. Now the front cover that goes onto this timing cover, that is going, we're putting that on it to check the camshaft end play. On something like this, you want to have, you know, just a little bit of end play on there, but not too much. That cam you want to be able to move back and forth. I try to shoot between like 5 and 8 thou. You know, if you were in that 12 thousandths area, I wouldn't worry too much on it on a roller, a solid roller. But if you end up getting too much or too little on, say, like a hydraulic flat tappet or a solid flat tappet, too little or too much can absolutely hurt those because they need to spin. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and set that. We're going to get the balancer put on, and then we're going to just verify our top dead center on the balancer as well. And then we'll go ahead and put the heads on. We want to verify that top dead center now, since we have the heads off, and that way we can know 110% that the balancer is true. So when we're setting our ignition timing, once we know that this is good and everything there, we'll get the heads on and start getting this ready to put in the car. All right, so we have our balancer on, and we have double checked top dead center, and the timing pointer that I had made before that bolted right here and came down and pointed, broke when the crankshaft broke last year, and this started to wobble around. It hit it and snapped it up. So I made a temporary one with the wire we used earlier. Anyway, so now that we have top dead center 100% verified, we can go forward and start putting our heads on. So as you guys saw, getting the head on here, a little bit of a tough one, but it's a new block with studs. It's always tough to, you know, a lot of times get a head on that is completely studded. The threads on these head studs are 9/16 in the block, but they're 1/2 inch going through the head. So it's not like we can slide them in after we get the head on here. We have to put them on beforehand and snake everything through. We don't have the rockers on yet. I got the nuts on the outside. We're gonna get everything on the inside here and kind of just snug it down and let the RTV set up that we just put down. And then we're gonna do it on this head as well. We've spoken in last year's videos on engine assembly. I do use RTV on these head gaskets, even though it is dry deck. It's just a habit I've done for a long time, and it's a hard habit to break, but also it doesn't hurt it at all, so I continue to do that. We went around the oiling hole that supplies oil to the top of the heads, and then on the 2 corners where we have all 4 corners of an oil drain back, we go through on both sides of the gasket there as well. The sleeves on these blocks actually stick up above the deck surface, about 6/1000, sometimes 8/1000 of an inch, right around there, and you can actually cause an oil leak at all 4 of those with the oil trying to drain back. So we try to seal everything up as best as we can there, and we're gonna go ahead, get all of our studs in place, or all of our nuts in place here, and kind of give them a little bit of a torque so that way it cinches down. We'll get this head set up, and then we're gonna start getting ready to go put this in over on the block, or over on the car there. So let's get to it. All right, well, you see Al's actually back in here. He's taking care of some stuff over on the car, a lot of the body stuff that we're taking care of and some changes over there. But right now, here we have it. Now, you don't see the rocker arms on here because, like I said, we're just getting it to set up some of that RTV, and I'm going to be taking care of a few other things. I wanted to show you, in earlier episodes, we took and milled this down and made this fit for our rails, and you can see the RTV kind of squishing out and sealing everything up around there, so we're not going to have any leaks. You can see we had that RTV around the edges, like I've said I always do on there. We don't want any leaks on that, and everything is pretty much set. Our front cover and everything is here. I still have that temporary timing pointer. It's actually pretty strong, but I still want to get something else made for that. Otherwise, that's kind of probably be it for the day. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I severely appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and finish getting the rest of the heads torqued down on here and the valves and push rods and everything set up on this before it goes over in the engine. Next time you see us, we should be getting ready to shove this in there and start getting the exhaust and everything else on for this. So if you can, please, if you liked it and enjoyed it, please drop a like there, and as always, subscribe. Until next time, guys, be safe.